Hi, I'm not very good at intros. Thank you for watching this video. I'm just piecing together little bits and pieces of information that I've learned, and my ears perk up when something, everybody does when they're sensitive to something, and I just wrote these things down and I figured I'd try to make a video about it, try to make a short one and have it make any sense. So thank you for watching. This is surrounding September 18th, 2010, which is the worst day of my life. I had an abortion. If you watch the video September 18th or Jordan, which is the full story of what God showed me about it, that's when my baby was taken from me. I changed my mind on the table and multiple times and asked for his body. I didn't know it was a boy. But my baby was taken from me on September 18th, 2010, and it was Yom Kippur. When I was saved, I listened to different videos on YouTube, and one man who was shining a light was Leo Zagami, and I bought his book, Confessions of Illuminati, edition 2. I think I bought it in 2022. I didn't know what a conspiracy theory was at all, and I didn't understand most of the things in that book, but there were some things that I was like, wow, that's crazy. And Yale was one of the things that came up over and again. But I was watching one of his videos, and I think it was around 2022 or 23, and I don't remember which video it was, and if you know, please leave it in the comment. Leo Zagami interviewed a man in Fort Collins, Colorado, where my baby was taken from me. And Leo Zagami said that this man bragged and boasted that he had more occult paraphernalia, literature, scrolls, I have no idea, just more of everything occult than anyone in either the Western Hemisphere or the Northern Hemisphere. And I was taken aback. I'm like, that's where my baby was taken. So that's way before I even understood anything that I put in the Jordan video. So I thought that was interesting. I hate that town because that was where my worst day in my life happened. I didn't defend my baby, and they took him from me. I think that they used his eyes for the COVID vaccine. I'm almost completely sure of it. So, second point, I was watching the Jimmy Dore show recently, and I don't know where that video is either, but Kurt Metzger was on, and he mentioned that the name Collins is associated with the name Cohen. As in the Levitical surname Cohen. So Fort Collins. And I was just like, wow, that's weird. Then I was looking in the Epstein files, and I noticed that Elon Musk's brother is mentioned in the Epstein files related to Colorado and related to Fort Collins, Colorado in particular. I know he owns, or Cohen owns a restaurant chain, but I just find it interesting that he's related to Colorado at all. And Elon Musk, last year I had an album, my band was named The Poppies, and Watchman Dan helped me, encouraged me to get it out, and it was called Let Me Come Home, and it wasn't dedicated to Satan. I wrote John 3:16 on the front, and that's the only truth. Dan designed the cover, but it says John 3:16 on it. It's dedicated to Jesus. So I was on Telegram with Dan and Sherry and mostly them, and a couple other people would join us, but we did Zoom videos and live streams last year because we were having problems with YouTube and Rumble. So on Telegram, there was somebody that called themselves the real Elon Musk or the official Elon Musk, and he ended up harassing me and some other women too, I think, and maybe even Dan. And he ended up telegramming me in a private text saying that he could make me rich and famous. And I laughed. I'm like, I don't subscribe to what you believe in. And he was trying to talk me into cryptocurrency, and I am absolutely opposed to it. I haven't done a video on that yet, but I want to. And he gave me a digital shekel. And I was just like, oh, great. Like, he's all, it's like Israel and God have nothing. There's just such twisting of what's godly and what's not. Anyway, like, I'm so against crypto. And he was like, don't tell anybody. And I wasn't forward facing. I didn't have a YouTube channel. And if I did at the time, I didn't think I had even read the Psalms or any of the accounts of the women in the Bible yet. I don't think I had a channel yet on here. And I subscribed to TikTok to post stuff for Dan, and Twitter to repost stuff for Dan, and nobody knew me. I mean, all of a sudden I had the official Elon Musk on my Twitter. It's like, I don't have hardly anybody, quote, following me, but that's one. And then on TikTok, and it could be somebody that's like just harassing me, but it was strange. And it's like, why is he giving me a shekel? It's just weird. So anyway, that was that, the Musks. And he was like, don't tell anybody. It's like, don't tell me what not to do. I'm not scared of you. Everybody, even walking around, knows that I say God said the CIA and the Pentagon is guilty. You think I'm scared of you, Elon Musk? No, I'm not. Okay, sorry anyway. God said, don't be afraid of man. Of what account is he? So number 4, the connections between Colorado and Palantir, which I didn't notice until very recently. Originally, the headquarters for Palantir was in Palo Alto, California. And then they moved their headquarters to Denver, Colorado in 2020, just in time for COVID. Denver is a short drive from Fort Collins, Colorado. Also, Palantir went public in 2020. I remember listening to CNBC and the guy from Mad Money saying, oh, I don't know about Palantir. Should we invest, or are they going to go public or not? Well, they went public just in time for COVID. Okay, so the headquarters for Palantir recently moved again to Miami, Florida, February 17th, 2026. Peter Thiel, the co-founder of Palantir, is also mentioned in the Epstein files. Palantir's only client was originally the CIA. And like I just said, God told me that the CIA was guilty. Also, not to leave you out, Skull and Bones are also guilty, and the Pentagon. So, haven't covered that so much yet. Side note, I worked for TWA as a res agent in the late 90s, and I found out through talking to people on the phone that were booking flights that the biggest flocking of jewelry in the United States is from New York City to Miami and back. They go to Miami in the winter, they go into Miami when they, want warm weather, when it's cold and nasty in New York City. That's just a thing. It's just something I noticed in the 90s and I remembered. Number 5, more on Colorado and Palantir. Alex Karp is the CEO of Palantir, recently bought St. Benedict's Monastery in Old Snowmass Village near Aspen, Colorado for $120 million in December of 2025. Peter Thiel has also been known to give private invitations on lecture series on the Antichrist of the Book of Revelation. Well, evidently, Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, has a religious vibe too. Whatever. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. Related to that, Aspen, Colorado, every summer has, and I thought it was a national security conference or something. It's actually called the Aspen Strategy Group, and it hosts the Aspen Security Forum annually, which focuses on what they say as critical national security and foreign policy issues. It's stated to be a nonpartisan conference which, quote, gathers top U.S. and global officials, military leaders, intelligence experts, and journalists. It's also a short drive from Old Snowmass Village. So, isn't that convenient? Sometimes I feel like the church lady. Okay, 6. Jeffrey Epstein and Yom Kippur of 2010, the worst day of my life. It was on September 18th, 2010. And I was in Fort Collins, Colorado, and my life was being ruined in the morning. And Epstein made a big deal about this particular Yom Kippur in 2010, September 18th, because it fell on a Saturday, which is the Sabbath. Epstein planned a big breakfast on September 18th, 2010 for around 80 people at his house. It said in one of the files it was at 71, but then he made particulars about, do you remember where I live? So he's not known for being truthful, and I don't think he's dead. Okay, so in the Epstein files, on his calendar that day, September 18th, 2010, before the Yom Kippur party at 1 p.m., Epstein was scheduled to meet with Dr. Jarecki and Tony at Dr. Jarecki's house. Now I heard Dr. Jarecki was either one of Epstein's friends or his psychiatrist or both. It doesn't matter. He's a liar. I looked up Dr. Jarecki on his own website and other things. So it's not what Epstein said. And Dr. Henry Jarecki, has a background in biotechnology, futures trading, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's not like buying a stock through the New York Stock Exchange, through a Vanguard account, or having a 401k. You put down like 20% on a stock, and it's puts and calls. You bet on if a stock is going to go higher or lower, and if you don't get it right, you owe money, and it's really, it's worse than playing at Vegas. It really is. It's very high stakes gambling. So he was into that. He also has a background at Yale, pioneering psychopharmacology, and he's also known as a famous psychiatrist. So if you can put dots together with, I don't know, MK Ultra and Peter Thiel with Yale and J.D. Vance, just go all the way to who owns Ohio at this point, Les Wexner. Number 7, sorry. Rant over. Epstein files emails in 2010 and 2011 between Jeffrey Epstein and Mary E. Erdos of J.P. Morgan. And I've heard there are many of them. Let's see, 2010, September 18th, Yom Kippur, when my baby boy was taken from me. And then there's 2011, when my baby boy should have been born, should he have reached full gestation, and they listened to me and stopped the abortion because I was there, and I told them I wanted them to stop, and they didn't. My baby was conceived on July 26, 2010. You can do the math for yourselves, and I know that's absolutely accurate because I felt pregnant right away, and I only had sex once, and that was the date. This is an email from the Epstein files from Jeffrey Epstein to Mary E. Erdos of J.P. Morgan, sent Tuesday, August 16th, 2011. The subject, re-questions. I will get more detailed answers, but for now, 1, not sure what you mean by R&D, ? No input from the foundation into investments, ... Donors can choose from either a custom-made portfolio, ... or a choice of silos and be able to switch. In parentheses, mutual fund concept. 2, mostly initially American, period. Initially, however, we should be ready with an offshore arm, especially for vaccines. 3, the donor advised limits influence grants, but allows great flexibility on investments, ... Anonymity is varied, according to both gifts to and gifts from. 4. Pooled is not really necessary, but would be available for those that preferred it. 5. Billions of dollars. 5. Billions of dollars the first 2 years. Tens of billions by year 4. Timeline depends only on JP Morgan, JPM is what it says, ability to organize, legal, structure internet presence, staffing, etc. 5. Exists in perpetuity with succession controls. 6. There will be access to the current foundation's pools of targets, but would be looking for both new opportunities with metrics for success. On Wednesday, August 17th, 2011, at 1:43 a.m., Erdos, Mary E. Erdos wrote, "Here are some questions we have in advance of the meeting to the extent we can find the answers. What role will the Gates Foundation play vis-a-vis other donors with respect to marketing, sharing of R&D, grant making, and investments? What is the profile of potential donors, including residence and tax status? What level of influence will they want to maintain across investments and grant making? How important is anonymity? Is pooling of investments and pooled grant making a core feature of the offering? What is the potential funding amount and what is the anticipated funding rate?" And this is at the bottom, it says confidential treatment requested by JP Morgan Chase. And that is the file number from the Epstein files is EFTA 013011108. And I will leave that in the video. So does anybody remember the book, The Panama Papers? How rich elites hid assets, money, etc. in shell companies around the world to keep their accrued wealth hidden? Shell companies are also called LLCs, which means limited liability companies. It's to supposedly keep from being like tax evasion and do it legally, but it's, can you imagine how much money was involved in this? I mean, billions in the first 2 years, tens of billions within 4. It screams COVID vaccine to me and public-private partnerships. Anyway, okay, on to this, and it's very much related. Revelation of the Method, Event 201, and a Young Pig. If you haven't heard about it, Event 201 was a tabletop exercise in pandemic preparedness, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube. Just look up Event 201. It was held in October 2019. It was based on a theoretical novel coronavirus that had its theoretical origin in a young pig. Event 201 was sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security and the World Economic Forum. You will own nothing and be happy. Johns Hopkins also was featured in that book, The Great Influenza of 1918. Fear-mongering, that thick. Read it, scared the crap out of me and made me angry. And now I don't believe in any of it. So the revelation of the method, what that was, is it started in a young pig. When I got an abortion in September 18th, 2010, which was Yom Kippur, on that very special Yom Kippur that happened on the Sabbath, according to Jeffrey Epstein himself, in Fort Collins, Colorado, the place where Leo Zagami said one of the biggest warlocks basically in the entire world lived and had all that esoteric crap in his basement. I was married, but I kept my maiden name because I was still a feminist. I had major dad issues. I still kind of do, but I believe in God. I believe in a Heavenly Father. I believe in Jesus and the Holy Spirit. None of them are female. We were made in God's image too. But I was a feminist and I kept my name. So I went in to Fort Collins Planned Parenthood as Megan Purcell. Now, when I was born again, for some reason, I looked up my name and what it meant. So Megan means pearl. And Purcell, I was taking a walk with my two sisters when our mom, had pancreatic cancer. We were taking a break and we never took walks. And I said, Purcell means pig herder, because that's what I thought it meant. So my name would be Pearl of the Pig Herder. And I was like, that's really awful. But anyway, so my little sister said, actually, it also means Pouchot, which means young pig or piglet. So when they said in their table talk exercise that this COVID, this novel coronavirus exercise with this theoretical cause being a young pig, that's what they used. They used a young pig. Purcell, my baby, his name would be Purcell. Young pig. Thank you for watching. Please consider the different little notes that I said, if you're willing, and see if you can come up with anything else, because they don't want us to find these things out. You know, Whitney Webb and I think some other people said that there's darker things even than child sacrifice and puppies being killed and just disgusting things on Epstein Islands, and they hijacked the economy and they hijacked all our health and our belief in our countries and our leaders and everything. They hijacked it all. For what? Anyway, thank you and God bless you.
Speaking, I know you might be feeling skeptical about getting my message, but it's me, believe it or not. It's me for real. Speaking, I know you might be feeling skeptical about getting my message, but It's me, believe it or not. It's me for real. Speaking, I know you might be feeling skeptical about getting my message, but it's me, believe it or not. It's me for real.